Apologies for the lack of videos lately, as I was about to record one on Iryna Zarutska. The assassination of Charlie Kirk happened. I've taken the opportunity of this video to cover my thoughts on both and try to neatly tie them together. Let's start with Iryna. I'm sure most of you have seen the horrific video of her murder. I've seen many horrific things on the internet, but seeing the sheer dread in that beautiful woman's face, she knows her life has faced a horrific, grotesque, and wasteful end, is absolutely heartbreaking. At 23 years old, she had her entire life ahead of her, and now the image of her death is strongly burnt into my mind. Charlie Kirk was not assassinated because of what he actually stood for. He was assassinated because of how the mainstream media and psychotic left-wing e-celebs have propagandized his image. Charlie has been somewhat sharpening his rhetoric over the past few years, certainly since the Groper Wars. Conservatives and the centre have been playing this trick in general, a 10% sharpening of views and a 50% sharpening of rhetoric. A key example of this is how Tommy Robinson is now calling for remigration and to send them all back, when in fact he exclusively means illegal immigrants. Therefore, he is saying the same tired-old centre-right tropes whilst portraying himself to be more hardline than he is. I'm not in any way pointing out ideological and rhetorical shifts as justification for his death, as I'm not a leftist. And in the same regard, all of the nonsense that has been posted about Iryna having a BLM poster in her room, that has been used to implicitly say she deserved it, is just as twisted and sickening to me. Also, for those who don't know, that poster wasn't even in her room, and even if it was, that does not mean she deserved to get murdered in such an evil and grotesque way. What I'm pointing out is that, in a sense, the left now has more to work with in such a way to propagandize people into believing certain individuals are more radical and more evil by their words. Tyler Robinson, Kirk's killer, did not sit there obsessively watching all of his debates, trying to learn more about the man he was going to kill. He simply did it because he was a mentally ill, terminally online freak, seeking attention, trying to fulfill the urge to be seen. In his eyes, he wasn't killing Charlie Kirk. He wasn't killing what he actually symbolized. He was killing the symbol that the mainstream press had symbolized him to be. And that is one of far-right, fascism, racism, transphobia, homophobia. None of these things applying to Charlie Kirk. Charlie was a husband, a son, a father to a 1-year-old boy and a 3-year-old girl. I personally lost my father at 9 years old, and in a sense it made me more grateful to have him for the short time that I did. Speaking from experience, I know that his son is going to go through life struggling to find a suitable male role model to replace his dad. He won't have the essential male role model to push him to fulfill his potential as a man and a future dad himself, hopefully. His daughter isn't going to be able to see what would have hopefully been a fruitful and beautiful relationship flourish between Charlie and Erica Kirk, showing her an example of what a healthy relationship would be like. A lifetime of memories, trips to theme parks, conferences, holidays, Christmases, birthdays, visiting Charlie's friends and seeing him succeed and make changes in life, possibly even him being in political office one day. That entire tree of experiences has been permanently killed at the root itself. Neither children will have strong memories of making their dad proud. Neither will ever be able to replace the permanent, and I mean seriously permanent, wounding of their heart, their soul. They're going to go through life trying to cope with such horrific pain and trauma, the severity of which is akin to them dying themselves, and that's no exaggeration. Charlie's death has killed all of those close to him, and now they are born again, born into pain, grief, anger, a bitter experience for all involved. And despite all of this, what has been the media reaction? For Iryna, the brutal murder of a young white woman by a schizophrenic, feral black man, we saw ambivalence. Even some BLM accounts gloating.
A right to violence. All oppressed people have a right to violence. And I'm going to tell you something. It's like the right to pee. You got to have the right place. You got to have the right time. You got to have the appropriate situation. And I'm absolutely convinced that this is it.
They do not care when a white woman is killed, as she is not of great political capital to them, and because acknowledging the truth of her murder would prove the far right to be correct in their beliefs, worldview, and narrative. At the same time, the left is up in arms at what I speculate to be a Jussie Smollett case, where a Sikh woman is claiming to have been R-worded by 2 English patriots who were telling her she doesn't belong in the country whilst doing the act. Whether this is true or not, which frankly I have my doubts, the same people bolstering these yet-to-be-proven claims are the same ones who completely suppressed and ignored, and even covered up in some cases, but proven allegations of Pakistani grooming gangs in the UK. These are the same people who did not care for Iryna, Chris Donald, Lee Rigby, but will never let you forget about Stephen Lawrence. Beyond this, largely the same people had absolutely sickening reactions to Charlie Kirk.
You need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events so that they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature. The issue is right now, they don't feel like there's any fear.
The summer.
Yeah. I'll say, can I just say something? I don't agree it was a Cicero for the TikTok age. I believe it was a David Duke for the TikTok age. And I have some degree...
Can you just remind us who David Duke
was? The former Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan.
Bethesda Games, creator of the Elder Scrolls and Fallout series, even chimed in with snark. The general formula from those who are front and centre in the left is to say, it's horrific that he died, but here are 20 reasons why I think he had it coming, and that it was a good thing. Naturally, they pair this with quotes of what he had said about gay marriage or gun control to try some sickly level of irony to his death, to make a mockery of it in a sense. Do you support hammers being legal? Better not get your skull caved in by a Somali migrant with a hammer then, I suppose. Another question to ponder is if it was, say, Richard Spencer being assassinated, or if Nick Fuentes' attempted assassin was to have succeeded, what would we have seen from the centre-right? Their responses wouldn't have been as sickly and grotesque as the left, they wouldn't be celebrating in TikTok dances, but it would have in nature been similar. He didn't deserve to die, but he was a raging anti-Semite, and he believed X, he believed Y, he didn't support Israel, oh no. You would never have seen Ben Shapiro talk about Fuentes in the same way Fuentes spoke about Kirk. So where does that leave you, the average man or woman in the dissident right? The left are getting bolder, more brave, more violent. They will celebrate your death, celebrate the suffering of your children growing up without a parent, celebrate all the trauma flowing through the minds of your loved ones. Considering the mental fragility of the left, the rates of self-ending, let's say, amongst certain groups as the trans community, who's to say that the more reckless freaks who already want to end themselves wouldn't get out of the way to try and make themselves go out in what could be considered a self-styled blaze of glory by going after you. They've seen the attention that Luigi Mangione got. They've seen the attention that Tyler Robinson's got. They've seen the attention that Eric Harris or Dylan Klebold, these people who become icons of their own degeneracy, of their own shortcomings, attention that needs to be filled as they do not have the attention from loved ones, the attention from meaningful, real relationships. That is who we're dealing with here. The dregs of society who do not want to fix themselves but want to take the rest of the world down to their pathetic level. With a rapid rise of migrant populations, leftist parties who all but support these actions will become impossible to democratically oppose. If you want to do your duty to your nation, you need to get active and fight in whatever way you can. Don't be scared because Charlie Kirk was killed, because he will not be the last person that the left murders. We already saw Trump survive an assassination attempt, basically with a mandate of heaven. Who's next? It's inevitable. We're starting to enter the mid-game stage of our political fight. The opening moves have been set, and we need to fight on. Our only tangible route is a political one. But as well as politics, learn a martial art, learn an instrument, develop meaningful relationships with your family, develop a meaningful relationship with a future partner, embolden the meaningful relationships with your friends. The next 10 years of political life in the West is going to make or break the survival of our people. Ask yourself, are you going to be a coward whilst the rest of us fight, sitting on the sidelines producing nothing but snark? Or are you going to get in the trenches and set our people free? Thank you for watching my video. I appreciate this is not the usual content I would make, and it's certainly not as upbeat as I generally try to be. In that case, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on X, and feel free to donate if you would like to. Take care, bye-bye for now.